What's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 10 for key game picks. Now, I'm not going to get through everything on week number 9, but I'll give some quick thoughts on week number 9 before I get to my picks. Now, we're down now to just 3 undefeated teams now. The Bengals, the Patriots, and the Panthers. The Broncos last week were the ones that fell victim to a loss. They lost to the Colts last week, which was a bit of a surprise. Um, and I didn't think this through. Nobody thought this through, though. Now, we've been criticizing Peyton Manning and his offense all season long, especially those who are Broncos fans. But who would have thought that their defense was the one that ended up costing the the Broncos the game last week? More or less, I mean, it was mostly boneheaded penalties and other stuff. That to me was a bit of a shocker. And basically, I've been giving a lot of credit to Denver's defense in the last few weeks, especially when they beat the Packers to remain undefeated. But this was totally a shocker to me when they lost to the Colts last week. Which, in all honesty, well, the Colts needed that win. And to be fair, though, the Colts really needed a win. But unfortunately, they had a setback now. Andrew Luck, a lot of the NFL media have been saying that he's hurt. Well, guess what? He's going to be out at most to 6 weeks. So pretty much that sorry AFC South division now continues to be more up for grabs. I mean, the only other team that's really contending for it is really the Texans and the Titans. The Jaguars, I don't see much, but they have been improving a little bit in terms of their offense and defense and the way they're playing as a team. But this season, though, is really another lost season for the Jaguars, so that's not to be bigger concerns. But I think maybe in the next few years, if they can keep this team intact and hopefully get some more better draft picks, I think the Jaguars could finally be starting to get on the rise, but it's too early to say for that team. Packers lost their second game in a row, and the Vikings now have taken over first place in that NFC North division, which was it's really become really a huge surprise right now. And the Packers, I mean, if you saw the game against the Panthers, the Packers really there are a lot of questions are riding on their offense, but then again, you got to wonder about their defense. When they lost to the Broncos, I posted up that question on Twitter. Did the Broncos expose the Packers defense? And I got to wonder about that now. The Packers, I mean, I picked them to beat the Panthers last week because I thought it was just one game. I'm pretty sure the Packers got on track. Well, I didn't think they were going to lose 2 straight. And now this puts into perspective and questioning now for this Packers team. Are they vulnerable now? And could Minnesota overtake that NFC North division, which the Packers up to this point had worked so hard for? Not only that, to get a home game. Big questions going on in that Packers team. I'm not certain, but I do have them still in the playoffs. There's no way they're going to choke now. But still, though, I mean, let's see how they do against the Vikings, and let's see how the Vikings do against them, because that's going to be bigger questions right now towards that. They haven't played each other yet, and it'll be interesting to see what will happen once these two teams finally meet. As far as other things going on, Ben Roethlisberger got hurt last week against the Raiders, but it's not a big injury. He should be back within 2 weeks, but there's speculation from what I'm reading that he's going to try to play against the Browns, which I really think, to Big Ben, just sit down, just rest, okay? Because I know the Browns got issues, okay? You're playing the Browns, for goodness sake. I expect the Steelers to win. And I know you're without Bell because he tore his ACL. He's done for the year. But really, in all honesty, just rest. There's a lot of things went on in week number 9. I can't get through everything. But right now, let's get into my picks for week number 10. Okay, now, let's start with key game number 1. It is the Thursday night game. It is the Bills against the Jets. A homecoming of some sort for Rex Ryan. Of course, he was the coach of the Jets the past 5 seasons, but now you're on the opposition in this division that a team that used to coach for. This one's actually a toss-up here. The Jets, they are favored by 2.5. It will probably be much lower than that, but both teams have a lot of questions in mind right now. How is the health of McCoy for running back for the Bills? He's still not 100%, but he's going to try to give it a go this Thursday night. I'm not sure how much effective that's going to be, but we'll wait and see. And the question is, do you stick with Tyron Taylor or do you go to EJ Manuel? Now, Tyron Taylor, he played very well last week, but the question now remains, is he going to remain the starter the rest of the season? Tough to say right now, but I think they should stick with him for now. EJ Manuel, there's a lot of questions on him right now. I don't know if he's going to be the same player as he once was before. On the Jets side, though, you have both Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith dealing with injuries. And a bigger question comes to mind. Look, from what I've been reading, Fitzpatrick more than likely will start. But who's to say you want to bring in Geno Smith if Fitzpatrick starts struggling? But all the rest of the offense rests in the hands now of Ivory. And he is having a phenomenal season. Already towards, I think, 800 yards of rushing this season. So this game is a huge toss-up here. And it's of importance right now because both these teams are fighting for an AFC wildcard spot. So who do I have winning this game? This game's a tough one to pick here. Really, really tough here. But I think the Jets will win in a very close game. I expect this game to be very close. No question about it. And the reason why I'm saying it now, once again during this week, Rex Ryan opening his big fat mouth again in terms of trash talking to his former team. And really right now, come on, you don't need to fire up the Jets right now, okay? Is that they don't need any more motivation at this point here. But I do expect a close game here, but I think the Jets will barely pull it out. They'll barely pull it out against the Bills. It'll be a very tight game through 4 quarters, but I think the Jets barely pull it out. Jets over the Bills. Key game number 2, the Minnesota Vikings at the Oakland Raiders. Raiders are actually a favorite in this one, 3.5. It might be a little bit lower than that by the time this game plays on Sunday. But obviously big questions regarding Teddy Bridgewater's health. He did pass one concussion protocol, and it's going to be wonders now how he will do in this game. And in all honesty, they do need him in this game because really the Raiders are actually playing very well. Oakland, like I said before, they are a slight favorite. But the way Minnesota's running the ball and the way Peterson has been playing right now, who's to say that this game might go to the Vikings here? But for the Raiders, it's simple as that, though. The tandem of Carr to Cooper should work wonders right here. Tough to say. This one is another one to pick here. Tough to say who comes out the victor here because I know both these teams need to win just to keep pace in their respective divisions, but more or less for the Raiders to stay within an AFC wildcard spot. So who wins here? It'll all come down to who has the ball longer and who does not turn it over. I'm still going to go with the Minnesota Vikings here. The way they're playing right now, as long as Terry Bridgewater can stay healthy here, it's going to be a tough call on this one here. But I expect a close game in Oakland. But I think the Minnesota Vikings, with their running game here, I think it's going to be too much for Oakland's defense to contain. So that is why this actually is going to be my upset pick for this week. If you look at my writing block, I always post up one upset pick, and I'm going to choose this game as my upset pick of the week. So no question about it. I'm leaning towards the Vikings in this one here, but I expect a close game here. Vikings over the Raiders. Key game number 3, the Patriots at the New York Giants. Patriots a 7-point favorite in this one. And I have to say, I sort of agree with that. And the only reason I'm saying sort of agree is because if you looked at the past 6-7 seasons, it seems like the New York Giants have been having the Patriots number lately, especially in 2 Super Bowls in which the Giants have beaten the Patriots. But when I look at the Patriots here, look, they already lost one of their players already to a season-ending injury, aka ACL tear. It's really that their running game is going to kind of hurt a little bit. But Blunt has really been the one that's been the key for the Patriots running game. So I don't expect to see much damage right there. But Leon was a pretty good key to their offense though, and losing him is kind of big, especially in the passing game. But Brady has enough receivers. I expect the Patriots to put up points here. And look, as I go to the Giants here, look. This Giant team is not like the previous New York Giants that have beaten the Patriots before, especially in 2 Super Bowls. A lot of questions are riding on their offense right now, as well as their defense. Their defense is not getting the sacks that they need in terms of, rushing to the quarterback. That's really the major key if the Giants want to pull this major upset in the regular season against this Patriots team. And I know the Giants are barely trying to hang on to first place in a very weak NFC East division. But really, if you're the Giants here, I mean, look, you're really in need of Victor Cruz here in this game here. Odell Beckham Jr. can't do everything here. If you had Victor Cruz in this game, I would put that odds numbers would be much lower than that. This is why I'm picking the Patriots here. The Patriots should beat the Giants here. Will it be decisive? I think it'll be decisive, but will this game be a blowout? I don't think so. The Patriots might get into a close game here, but I think the Patriots pull out the victor here. They'll probably win maybe by 10 points, maybe 13. I don't think this game will be a blowout of epic proportions here. So and 7 points, I would say I do agree with the odds makers on that one. 7 points is where it is. Maybe a little bit lower, but I think it's right there where it should be. So I hate to break it to you, Giants fans, but this is not the same team that's going to beat the Patriots this time. Patriots over the Giants. And finally, key game number 4, a big one in the NFC West, the Cardinals at the Seahawks. Now, for what I read, the Seahawks are actually a slight favorite in this one. They're favored by 3 points, actually. But a lot of questions come about in terms of their defense. I know they're coming off a bye week, and they barely beat the Cowboys 2 weeks ago. Arizona, I know they're kind of struggling a little bit, but a lot of questions come to mind in their offense and defense here. Have they lost their consistency? It's really tough to pick in this game here because this is a huge game. I know the Seahawks are still far behind in the NFC West, but a win here will put them just 1 game back. Will put them probably maybe about 1 game back at most. And it'd be huge because it would be a huge tiebreaker for them if they beat the Cardinals twice. This game is in Seattle, and you got to love them. Seattle's very good at home. They haven't lost in quite some time, and that was, I think, against the Cowboys of last season. But nevertheless, though, I mean, this game is going to be tight. I think this game will be tight. Arizona is healthy, and Seattle does have a lot of questions on defense, and especially on offense, too. I know their offensive line isn't that good, so I expect a tight one here in this one. Who wins here? I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. They're good at home, and it's hard for them to beat them. And I know Arizona has done it before. They did it 2 years ago. But I think this time, Seattle has got to be more hungry. They're pretty rested. I know one of their key players is, I don't know, I forgot the name of that player who had a concussion against the Cowboys. He's going to be a factor. He's going to be a factor now. There's no word if he's going to play. I think he's out for the rest of the season. I'm not sure. But they really need, if he was there, the Seahawks would be a much more bigger favorite in this one. But I think 3 points is right. I do agree with the odds makers here. And a lot of it's going to come down to offense, who's going to hold the ball much longer, and who's not going to turn it over. And the Seahawks, I think, will barely edge out a victory against the Cardinals. So, yeah, expect the tight game here. But I'm going to pick Seattle here. Seahawks over the Cardinals. All right, that's my picks for week number 10. Go to the sportblog.blogspot.com for all of my week 10 picks. And until then, I'll see you all next week when I talk about my picks for week number 11. And until then, enjoy your football weekend.